Okay, let's make sure we up and running. And take a little blast of the past here. Come on, come on, come on. Oh shoot, I gotta start restream. There we go. You know what, let's move this down here. And this can go away. And I'm gonna assume I'm up and running. I'm not dealing with Twitch today. Cool, everybody. Again, like I said, we're going to take a little blast of the past here. I'm going to go ahead and strip out this helmet and armor combo that we had on our original. And I think in our... I'm going to go ahead and kill all this. Let's go ahead and delete all. So I'm going to bring in the latest ZBrush female tech suit details. So I'm going to merge some files here. Wait for it. First thing I'm going to do is verify. Come on, this tool isn't that big, geez. Okay, I do have that little, so she's got a little backpack on her that I'm going to have to integrate with her chest armor. And all of this stuff I'm going to go ahead and delete, I think. I'm going to strip down her. There we go. Okay, so I've got this file. I'm going to go ahead and merge this with an armor file, but I don't want to work on all of her. So what's the easiest way I can go about this? Let's go ahead and do a merge visible. Because she's, you know, 27 million polygons, and I don't want to have to, I don't need all of this information. I can dumb this down quite a bit. So we'll go ahead and merge all that, and then we'll go ahead and delete all as soon as it'll let me. Hey everybody, thanks for showing up. Glad the videos are helping you guys out. Come on, Zbrush. I feel like I just recently did this. Yeah. I mean, it would be a lot of subtools. I would have to go in and make sure that everything had subdivision history, just so I could use a subdivision history on the pose tool. Give it another second here. Okay, we'll wait for that. Let's go into Photoshop. Hey, what's up, 20? Thanks for showing up. There we go. Oh, insufficient RAM. 128 gig isn't enough. Well, let's see if it pulls through anyways. What I can do is, again, simplify these pieces up here and disregard. Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's probably what we'll do. So, I mean, it went ahead and did it, so let's go ahead and delete all. So we do have our merged file here. I think the first thing I'm going to do is, I don't want to mess with this because I don't want to close holes either. I want to go ahead and delete hidden. So I'm just going to grab her right about through here. And go ahead and delete hidden. So this is really all I want to work with here. I'll go ahead and do a quick save. And okay, now we're out to the races. Yeah, it finally pulled through. This is yeah, well, this is fun with ZBrush, but this is something I just need to finish. I've been kind of messing around with it forever. If you've seen my, I mean, sometimes this channel, but this Pixelogic channel will send you go all the way back to episode number 1, and we basically walk through the making of this entire character here. Let's go ahead and mirror and weld this so it's the same on both sides. And it's okay. X symmetry turned on, and so now we're working with this. This I can go ahead and get rid of. We're not going to keep that. So we go ahead and Control Shift tap this one, and then Control Shift drag, and then delete hidden. I'm hoping that I'm able to close holes without it doing a nasty operation. Let me see if I can't. Give me a second. I just want to. I probably should have. God, there's a number of different ways. I could have remeshed a certain section of her body first. I remeshed her all and then knocked that remesh down and then projected all that detail back to a smaller mesh instead of going through these hoops of trying to break down this high poly mesh. But we'll see how this goes. I'm just basically trying to get rid of information so I can use this. I can go ahead and dynamesh it, but that's going to do a close holes operation, which I'm not sure is going to play nice with these subtools because they are all over the place. There's a lot of little intricate things on here. So give me a second. Give me another second. Life Silver says, I think it'd be awesome if you showed a video on dynamic posing a complex character like this one. If I'm gonna, yeah, if I was gonna do this for like a statue or a 3D print or something, it would basically be up here in the transform menu. We've done it before. I don't think anything, have we posed this one? I probably will pose this one. Like if I go to, you know, put this on ArtStation or something, I'll probably run that and we'll go ahead and pose it out. But the Transpose Master will do that for you as long as, you know, you do have, I mean, you can't throw like 30 million polygons in the Transpose Master and expect to have a good time. But if you do have subdivision history on all of your stuff, ideally, especially since she's, you know, hundreds of subtools, then it should work fine. And it should be posable enough, and then you can send them all back and make some minor modifications. But if I wanted to do like extreme poses, it might be worth it just to do a high-res like cinematic version of this character, bake the maps and run it through Painter or texture it in Mari, whatever you want to do, and then rig it, and then you have an entire, just a nice rigged character that you can animate if you wanted to, as opposed to trying to do a bunch of high-res shenanigans. Not really. Basically what I want to do as soon as this is done, crunching some numbers here, is I want to go ahead and finish this helmet out. Now, concepting live is something I hate doing with a passion. Not really my jam. We'll see how it goes. If I end up just, you know, spinning my wheels, I'll stop and we'll do something else. But basically, I'd like to get her in her tank tech suit. And there's a middle part we need to do, which is putting on her chest and head armor. And actually, once I'm done with her chest and head armor, I think I'll probably just go ahead and take her and game res her down. And then, you know, start texturing her and then rendering her and stuff like that. Okay, so we got that. Let's go ahead and decimate her down to maybe 250 or 205 apparently. Okay, that'll work fine. Now she's 205. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to do a quick save, make sure I don't have to do all this again. And we'll just reload that last QS. Oops. All right, now let's see if we can just run a close holes, mirror and weld, and I'm going to go ahead and dynamesh this. It's a little low. Heck, we don't even really need to dynamesh this thing. I think that's fine. So this is down, now we're down from 10 million points to 100,000 points, and this is really what I'm looking for here. So we can now merge these two files here. I'm going to go ahead and we'll go, this thing has a bunch of different groups on it and polygroups and stuff, so what I'm going to do is go to split to similar parts. Maybe. There's no geometry history on it. And is there delete hidden? Okay, delete hidden. And now I can do split to similar parts. And there's probably going to be a little bit of cleanup work I need to do. If it didn't, yeah, see, like all of these things, they kind of group together, they kind of didn't, so I can hold down shift, shoot them to the top. Did I have X turned on? Damn it, I didn't. Make sure you hit X to turn on X symmetry for all your subtools before you do that. I mean, I can go ahead and merge them down right now, but I'm just going to stick all these things together. There we go. So we got this working piece here, and then all of this stuff in this file I don't need because this is part of our bodysuit here. That's actually an old working file we had. We'll use that as her starting point here. And I think all of this stuff's already made on her backpack as well. So this has all been refined. Don't need it, don't need it. Just going through here, I'm just using Alt to tap onto my objects here. And we'll keep that. All right, let's go ahead and hide this temporarily. This we can delete. I'm just going to go through. Okay, this stuff we won't want to keep, maybe. This stuff is just garbage. This stuff is garbage. Okay, I think we are in good shape. And we'll use this as our starting point. Okay, so we've got all this. I'm going to go ahead and append that person right here. Hold down Shift, shoot her to the top, and now I've got everything in one file. And let's go ahead and rename this, save as Zbrush TechSuit Helmet. I'm going to save over the one I did on Pixelogic. I didn't really end up liking that one. And I am going to simplify the front of this here. So instead of having all this and having these things kind of flip, you know, rotate up, or geez, where's her eyeballs? Rotate down. Yeah. I mean, that's cool, and I could make that work. But what I want to do is kind of play around with a little bit of glass and stuff. So we'll go ahead and delete that and delete that. We'll go ahead and clear up her face just a bit. And this one looks like it's composed of quite a few pieces here. Let's see if we can do an auto groups. It's all one piece. So let's go ahead, and that's no big deal. We go in here with our clay brush, hit X to go across X symmetry, and we can knock these down. Now I don't have Dynamesh set up for these, so I'm just going to guess at the resolution here. Okay, 1792 seems fine, so I go ahead and turn back Dynamesh on for this one, and we'll go ahead and knock down just to kind of clear out the area around her face just a bit. There we go. Let's go ahead and crank our intensity up, and I'm going to move my lazy radius up if I do want to go in here and do lazy sculpting, but then I'm going to hit L to go ahead and toggle that off, because generally speaking, I don't need that on. This little nose plug piece, kind of like it. Whoa. Oh, you know what? When I split stuff off, okay, I put it in a weird state. Let's go ahead and do another quick save. Whenever I want to clear everything out, actually before we do that, let's go ahead. We don't need this one anymore. We're going to delete this. I'm just clearing all this out. So if we do a quick save, or if we do want to do a project save, I don't have a bunch of garbage sitting over here. And then I can just reload that last quick save. That's an easy way just to clear out any history gremlins that might be in ZBrush. Another thing you can try is over in the Z plugin, you can do the Clean Tool Master, and you can do all sorts of things. I use this all the time when I'm preparing models for export and doing all that kind of stuff. Looks like I lost some of that. You know what, Vents, you can go to. I use this for all sorts of stuff, but you can also do a clean history on all, where's that at? Textures, poly paint, beep, boop, beep. I know it's on there somewhere. UD all, delete, undo history for all. I have it sitting right there. Oh, there it is, undo, delete. So if you don't have that installed, just Google ZBrush plugins. And that very first one you get to, Pixelogic Download Center, scroll all the way to the bottom to the employee created, aka Joseph just created, I think, stuff, and then here's the Clean Tool Master, and then you can download that and install it. And if I miss anybody's comments, again, as always, I apologize. They come in fast and furious sometimes. Let me grab a pen real quick if I need to jot any notes. Let's see. Intro to ZBrush Part 3 for dynamic posing. Did I do poses? Maybe I did. That seems right. Can you use your mighty influence to ask Joe if Fbx Export can have a scale like OBJ? Scale Master so nice, but FBX would be good. Oh, so like when you go to Fport. Well, see, FBX should have OBJs have generic, just a unit settings. FBX should be able to, I think, have a little bit more control than that. I think FBXs do keep things fairly on target as far as like if you're coming in from Fusion 360 or something and then into ZBrush, it should, well, it would be an STL import, which you can also use. It's in the 3D Print Hub. You can do export to STL and import to STL. And so when I'm going from Fusion 360 to ZBrush and I'm really concerned about scale, that's usually when STL comes into play. But then when I export with FBX, it usually maintains my scale pretty well. When I do OBJ, sometimes it can get a little bit generic. But like you said, Scale Master here is also a really cool thing. If you click on the Scale Master button here and you go to the YouTube video, that'll go ahead and bring in a YouTube video. So he's done this one for Scale Master, and then he also did one for, like, I'm not sure where it is. You can go to the Pixelogic channel, and he did one where he basically measured the distance in between his pupils with a just a subtool, and then he used that distance in the subtool. Let's go to videos here. Ask ZBrush. Oh man, I need to catch up with some of these videos. It's been too long. Ask ZBrush. Somewhere in the Ask ZBrush. Let me see. Playlists. Ask ZBrush Volume 2. How can I correctly size import and scan data? So he goes through here. I guess I'll go ahead and link you guys to this just in case anybody cares. And he goes through, he has some scan data here and he wants to make sure it's sized correctly. So he measured the distance between his pupils. He knows that distance, so he puts in a subtool that goes the distance between the pupils, and then he uses Scale Master to take that length and resize everything in his scene to match that. And then when you go to export FBX, it should maintain it pretty good. My quick rig is pretty useful. Have to manually add fingers, eyes, and a face rig though. Yeah, I want to try that, and Mixamo I've been meaning to try for a long time. I just, not one of those things. I have very, very good riggers at work that keep me from, they don't keep me from rigging, but they keep me from bothering to. Okay, again, if I miss anything, I'm just kind of going through here. What's your most anticipated game for 2018? Oh boy. Most of my game playing is on YouTube these days. I like watching games being played, and I like seeing, keeping up and current with the visual aspect of games, but man, it's been a while since I've really sat down and played a game. Cool. I'm still using 4R7. I upgraded 4R8. Will I still be able to work from stuff from 4R7? Yes, but the opposite might not be true. If you do want to go from 4R8 to 4R7, you can, we've been talking about the Fbx Exporter, you can use that. You're going to lose a lot of, so when you save a Z tool, and then you try to open a 4R8 and a 4R7, it's going to be like, hey, I can't open this because 4R8 has a lot of features that 4R7 doesn't. So you lose a lot of this Z-tool stuff in here, even subdivision history, but you'll maintain your polygroups and your polypaint if you go into Fbx Export. You can do visible, all are selected. You can export it into one FBX file, go into another version of ZBrush, import that FBX file, and then do like a group split or split the parts, or split the similar parts, and then reconstruct subdivision history, and you'll have a pretty decent tool to start with. But going from 4R7 to 4R8 is really easy. It'll open older versions of 4R7. I'm trying to think if there's any weird caveats or if there's any buggy stuff with that, but if they do, it's probably been fixed by now. Make sure you go to 4R8 P2, which if you're just upgrading to ZBrush, you'll go ahead and grab. But yeah, that should be fine. Oh yeah, and the 4R8 intro to ZBrush here, I'll go ahead and link you guys to my YouTube channel here. And if you want to download them, they're downloadable for free on my Gumroad and my QBrush. But if you go to the ZBrush 4R8 What's New, which is right here under playlists, and scroll down a little bit, it's right here. Intro to ZBrush 4.8, what's new? There's 61 videos in there, and that'll walk you through all the cool new stuff like the new gizmo and whatnot. Copy Fighter, first time caller, long time listener. When I study organic modeling, I do studies of figures and animals. What should I study to get good at hard surface modeling? Oh, that's a good question. I think just like it, you know, observational skills, just find, and I like to use scan data first. Scan data for organic modeling as well if I'm doing human stuff, and I suppose the same would be true, and I probably should do this, is grabbing CAD data from something like grabcad.com and using that to kind of look at individual parts and really just like the functionality of a human being. And studying anatomy, you could study, it's hard to say, it's a little more complex because the human being is a fairly complex machine, but they're all fairly similar. However, when you get into mechanical engineering stuff and electrical engineering, and oh boy, it really goes off the rails, and industrial design, it kind of gets all over the place, and good design versus functionality and form versus function, and studying how things move and rotate and work. Do I even have any of those insert brushes here? Let me see if I have any of those. Yeah, these are just alphas. I need to bring my, you know what, I probably have them, at least a version of them available for download. Let me switch over. Let me see if I got them somewhere. So I have kit bash libraries full of stuff that's organized in kind of a engineering way. So you've got different joints and linear actuators and wires and electrical stuff, and it's like you said, it's a bunch of observational stuff and looking at mechanical stuff and making sure it works. But at the same time, it's not like I do that all that much. Like I'm not creating the sci-fi stuff with the intention of it being like mechanically or engineering sound. Like you could probably 3D print this and send someone to Mars with it, which I would highly suggest you don't do that. But at least I've got these pieces kind of put into place, and I can start breaking them down and rotating them at the very least to make them functional. But I guess it's just like anything else, pencil mileage, or not pencil mileage, but practicing doing mechanical stuff and studying mechanical stuff and why mechanical stuff works and works well. And then when you apply that to your designs, you'll just make better decisions. Just like when you study anatomy, and you can start going like, oh, his shoulder's messed up, so I can fix that, and it looks better. A person who's really mechanically inclined could look at this and go, oh, you know what, this gear ratio, or this rotation thing you have here, or this thing that slides along this is going to cause problems, and it's not going to be to scale to the human. And all of those little things you put together is going to make it feel better. Even if you look at it and you go, I don't know what's wrong with this, but it's really bugging me in the back of my head, somebody more inclined could look at that and go like, oh yeah, this is wrong, so that's not going to work, and maybe that was tickling the back of your head as to why it's bad. That's interesting. It doesn't keep the scale master changes. That seems weird. Again, hey everybody, thanks for showing up. Oh, you know what? I do have a Switch. I just got a Switch. Okay, that makes sense. I should have said that. Yeah, Mario Kart 8. I've been playing that with my wife, and she keeps getting better and better, and now I think she's better than me. Yes, yes, yes. Chris Bear, I got a question. I wanted to go study on No One in LA, but my visa won't let me study in their office. It looks like the only way is online academy. Can you recommend any good online school? No One's pretty good. I mean, I've never been to an online school, so I graduated Ringling. That was good. I recommend Ringling. They seem like fine, upstanding folks. Had a good experience there. Online schools, I mean, I've watched a lot of online videos, but I can't really recommend online academy for you. But I'm sure there's reviews out there. When you initialize ZBrush, do you lose all your files and settings? You'll lose whatever you have loaded. If you did want to initialize ZBrush and bring it back, you could do that through the quick save menu here when you hit the comma key, or you could just save out a tool. Or you could save a project, so you can go File, Save As, that'll save a project. You can go to Tool Mesh and Save As, that'll save a tool. I generally prefer just to save a tool, just so I can kind of clear everything out of my project and reload fresh. You also have the Startup Master, wherever that is. Do I not have that? I might not have that installed. But you can download from that Picture Logic Download Center here. Go to the very bottom. And there is a Z Startup Master you can use to kind of set up your scene, how you like to start up ZBrush, and then save that. It's kind of a cool plugin. They're full of cool plugins. Cool, thanks for the kind words. Alrighty. And yeah, I have the same problem, Neodos, you know, trying to think of, and it's a problem with me not knowing enough, really, what it boils down to. Just like, you know, I would have a problem with anatomy if I didn't know anatomy well enough and I couldn't just model stuff. Same thing with electrical or engineering type things. It would be difficult for me to try and make something mechanically sound first, but you know what, if I was really good at it, maybe that would be a good starting point, would be to make something mechanically sound first and then put a little spit polish on it and make it a little bit crazy, as opposed to doing what I do now, which is just like, oh, slap some stuff together and then try and figure out how to make it mechanical-ish, which is what I'm doing now. So let's see if we want to see more of her face or not. So if I want to put like a glass visor in here, I've got this kind of sculpted out here, and these things are kind of getting in the way, so I'm going to hit W, and we'll just kind of pull these down. And if we want to move them out of the way, we can kind of look at that. And I don't mind them. They're just a little bit obtrusive here. Also looks like they go across that center line here. So if in ZBrush you touch two things and you pull them apart, they'll get a little bit sticky. We can go ahead and fix that real quick, just to. And you know what? We can do delete hidden close holes, Weld. Hit X, go across X symmetry. And if you wanted to replace these, just go into your, I have a little custom menu here that just has some basic cylinders in here, but you can go to, let's go ahead and split mass points, and then we'll alt tap this one, delete that. So now we've got these replaced, and we can go ahead and just scale this up. Now you're gonna see when I'm scaling it up, it goes like this. Turn on an LSim, so we're scaling it across local symmetry here. And then if I want to put a little bit more polish on this, we can go to our Z Modeler brush, BZM, bevel edge loop complete. We'll just kind of knock that back a little bit. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and, just in case, I'm having some weird allergy stuff, so please excuse my Ricola, because I'm afraid I'm going to start coughing. Do you have any tutorials on keyshot lighting or setting dramatic atmosphere? Not that specifically, but I do have a keyshot tutorial. ZBrush to keyshot bridge Quickstart. This will walk you through. Let me see if I can link you just to that one. Should be at the top. ZBrush to keyshot bridge. There we go. This will walk you through. This one is about 17 videos, and that'll kind of take you through the kind of the basics of keyshot, but putting that together, you should be able to come up with some atmospheric lighting, because you can, I go through doing custom lighting just with area lights and then also environment lighting, and you can mix and match those. So between those two, you should be able to get some pretty atmospheric effects. Now as far as atmospheric, as far as fog, that I would probably do in post with a depth render, or a depth like this. So if I take this right here, and we go to alpha, grab dock, I would use this in post to kind of create fog, this type of thing, and you know, separating out from the background, so you could manually fog out the background and do a depth grab on that as well. And this you would also use for a lens blur type effect, but you can also use it for fog in a pinch. Off topic, my question: how do you feel about the new update to UV texture editor? Such a drastic change in the interface. It is, and it took me a while to kind of catch up, but I do like the fact that you can just go right down that little strip on the side and just kind of go, okay, this is what I'm doing now, this is what I'm doing now, this is what I'm doing now. And it's almost like a little UV wizard. So you just go through all the different steps, and by the time you get to the end, you're done UVing. And it seems to do a pretty good job, and it's pretty robust. Not too shabby. 3D modeling student, want to know how important ZBrush is compared to Maya, what ratio I'm going to use it later. I'm interested in hard surface and assets and currently starting in ZBrush with your awesome tutorials. Well, thanks for the kind words. Hope the videos work out for you. Again, I apologize for this logins. It's going to get in the way of me talking a lot, but I'd hate to answer that question for you. I can say me personally, when I first started out, I was mostly using Maya, and I have been just a mostly a Maya user just because every project I've ever been on in my career and at school has all been Maya-centric. If I start sculpting through thin meshes here, you're going to want to make sure... Oh man, I need to remap this damn thing. Oh. You know, I forgot to check that. How are we looking? ZBrush on my screen? Yeah, I could probably center that better, but we're in good shape. You want to go to auto masking and turn on backface mask. So anyway, like I said before, I've only really used Maya in any professional sense on every project I've ever worked on at Sony or Certain Affinity or Tiburon, EA, and school. I started it on 3D Studio Max when I went to school in Waco, Texas. Where did I go in Waco? Wow. Texas State Technical College. That's where I got my associate's degree, and then I went to Ringling after that. So there I used 3D Studio Max, but it's been Maya ever since. Not because I'm a Maya fanboy, or I think it's the only program you should use. Honestly, I would love to just use Blender if I could, but I haven't actually sat down and done that yet. But I've mostly used that, and when I first started out, it was just a lot of Maya work. And then taking it into ZBrush and being like, well, I'm going to model 99% of this in Maya, then I'm going to take it into ZBrush and like put scratches on the armor. So that's how I started. And then when I worked at SOE, which is now Daybreak, on DC Universe Online, that we had a super ZBrush-centric pipeline just because it's so much looser, not looser, I mean it is looser, but it's so much faster just to iterate and do quick concept sculpts. Like right now, I could get this helmet into game and evaluate it from back here. In fact, if you want to see more about that, you want to really hear me ramble on forever, do GDC 2015. Pavlovich GDC 2015. Here's my GDC talk on very much that and rapid iteration and what's that called? Pipeline stuff. And we're also going to be going over a lot of Houdini stuff this week. I meant to do that like 2 weeks ago, and I've just been backlogged with stuff. I haven't been able to sit down and put it together. But a lot of cool stuff you could do in Houdini. Houdini's another one you should definitely check out. Let's rework this chin thing here. Let's pop this thing out there. That's really good. Close wasn't there well. And let's go ahead and Dynamesh this. I seem to have like a sticky, got a new keyboard, and I guess I'm not used to it. I'm also going to switch over here to Smooth Stronger, which for you guys will be in the Smooth menu. Okay, so I want these things to not necessarily be interfering with their face, and this, again, speaking of mechanically sound, would you really have a giant cylinder coming into the face like this and pushing into something as small as this? Probably not. But what I am going to do is I'm going to reset that normal so I can kind of just scale this down. If you did want to flatten this out but not lose your bevel over here, you can go into, let's go into solo mode here. Let's go ahead and mask, hold down Control. Let's go into mask lasso, hold down Control Alt and just grab this back piece here. And now when I scale this in, it'll just move that back piece there. And then we can unmask it, and then we can just move again along that surface normal. And we can go ahead and rotate this, kind of fit that right in there. All right, so now I can go back into solo mode. And if it's getting, these things are like getting in the way, and I just kind of want to work on this piece separately and maybe work on the chin a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'll go back in here, I'll go into Control Shift. I'm just going to pop this piece off. Now, if I was for sure ready to start, working on this for real, and I thought it was pretty good and we could go through and make our final mesh, then maybe I would just consider rebuilding it, but I'm not ready for that, not even close. It's going to split hidden, we'll do a close holes, mirror and weld, and now I've got this piece sitting out. I still retained all my tool properties, so I can still Dynamesh this thing around, but now I can go in here and work on this thing separately. So if I wanted to like go to the top here, and we can clip this back. And you know, we can clip this back too. You can also use trim, but when you're trimming across, sometimes it do some weird stuff. If you get these weird little flaky pieces, you can clip those back, or you can hold down Control Shift and go to Select Lasso, and you can kind of get rid of some of these. You can just delete them, and then again, I'd like to do a close holes, mirror and weld, and then just re-dynamesh. Dynameshing will usually close those holes for you. Delete hidden. Not usually, it will always close those holes for you. But sometimes I'll do a close holes operation just manually, just so I can do that. And in fact, if this is getting a little bit sloppy, I can still go through here. Let's grab a higher res cylinder here, and let's clean this up a little bit. I still want to keep it Dynamesh. I don't really care too much about the shape, but if I do want to kind of clean this up a little bit, I can go through here, and I can just use this like a nice piece of cylindrical clay, and then just Dynamesh these things together, and now it's a little bit more cleaned up. So if I want to go to the back, or if I do want to clip this back a little bit, I'll maybe put a clip in here, like so. And you know, if it is getting in the way, with the reason why I'm doing this is because if I just do this, it's going to clip through the other side. Actually, that worked pretty good. Sometimes it'll do weird stuff, like if you do this, it'll do straight across. It's going to clip from both sides. So what you could do in that case is you can hit X to go ahead of X symmetry. You could mask one side, or you can just completely, with visibility, get rid of it. And then you can go through here and you can just clip this straight back. And then once that's good, you can go ahead and do a quick mirror and weld. The reason I did a mirror first is if you just do a mirror and weld, it's going to mirror the negative X, turn on the floor here, and X, Y, and Z. It's going to go negative quadrant to positive quadrant. So you want to do a quick mirror and weld. The reason I have them here is because you're going to have to go down here to deformation, mirror, and then geometry, modify topology, mirror and weld, and that is a pain in the ass. So just make a custom menu. More info on custom menus, go to my YouTube channel, go to the Intro to Zbrush Part 2, and that'll walk you through custom hotkeys, custom interface, and stuff like that. If you want my custom menu specifically, you can go to my Gumroad or QBrush page and go to the Intro to Zbrush files, and you can download my Z startup folder, which will give you my custom menu and custom hotkeys and all that good stuff. It'll tell you how to install it. Now, I wouldn't recommend you do that because there's nothing magical about anything I do, but certainly not my interface. But if you want to just check it out, that's certainly a resource for you. So now I'm going to do another quick mirror and weld. We can go ahead and we'll clean this up a little bit too. Here, here, here. Delete hidden. And then make sure you turn X back on. And now we have a semi-cleaned up version of what we were working on here. And again, not super clean, just something a little bit nicer to look at. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go into my clay buildup here. We have backface masking on. And now I can just pull this through. Again, the reason you're going to want to turn backface masking on is you have that off and you start sculpting through. It's going to do some really nasty stuff to your meshes. Turn that on. Now this isn't global, so go into your clay brush, go into your standard brush, go into your trim brush, go into your H-polish brush, turn that on. You could probably set up a macro for that too. In fact, I think I did. I had a Pav startup macro somewhere in here. I think I deleted it. It was doing some weird stuff. I think I had it doing too much stuff. So maybe a combination of Z startup master and then a macro for that kind of stuff would be good. Okay, so we can pull this out. And now we got a little bit of space for her chin to work on. And again, all of this armor is going to have to fit in and around her underlying suit, which we can see here. And ideally also be integrated with it. So as you're designing stuff, hopefully you're designing everything at the same time so that you can integrate nicely with different aspects of it and make sure it's all fitting together. I kind of didn't do that. Let's go ahead and do a crease polygroup, crease tolerance dynamic. So we can also turn on dynamic subdivisions for these, make them a little bit nicer. You can do Shift D to go ahead and toggle those off, but that's basically under here, geometry dynamic, Shift D, D, and now you can check them out. So we kind of move that away from her face a little bit here so we can fit a little bit of glass in between here. We can go ahead and move these things out as well. Now these things should be together. One thing I can do is, I can just delete this one here, and we can do a quick mirror and weld. Oops. If we have mirror and weld with LSIM on, it's going to mirror it across its local axis. Go ahead and turn that off temporarily. Mirror and weld, you can turn that back on. And now, if we want to move these things or scale these things, we can just pop these things out, or just use your move brush. If you make a move brush with a really small radius, like 1, that'll just move, or it should just move an individual subtool here, or you can make it really big. That's going to pull across here, or you can just use your gizmo. Or you can use transpose if you hit Y. That'll take you into the old school transpose, which is useful for some stuff. And you can just hit this button instead of Y if you want to. Sorry, I'm getting behind again. Yeah, I like using Fusion 360. It's a good program. So let me see. Oh, if you thanks for the kind words. This thing here, if you want to like watch more information on like concepting this stuff, I've got some of it's pretty dated, but if you go to my YouTube channel, if you've seen that Quixel helmet, if we go down here, if you've seen this thing around, this is one I made for Quixel way back in the day. So this helmet right here, if you want to see the making of this, it basically starts with just completely nothing. You know, just what I'm doing right now, and then eventually just gets refined. Now again, these are pretty old techniques. This is like ZBrush 4. I don't even know what version of ZBrush. Many years ago, 5 years ago. Also, the GDC female, the one I did for, you can download on Substance Share, is the making of this. Not like an entire making of it, but basically what I'm doing now, like concepting this female out, this female armor here, and then refining it down to, oh, there's a bunch of stuff in here. All sorts of goodies in here. Chest armor here, so this might look familiar to you as well. But like I said, I'm not a huge fan, and by that I mean I'm not good at it, concepting live and talking about it. Usually when I'm just feeling stuff out and concepting, I'm better just kind of getting some reference or pulling up some hard surface stuff and then just sitting there and looking at it and studying it and then trying some stuff. Let's see, we'll Dynamesh that, blur off. And not thinking about what to talk about with you guys. Not that I like doing that. I do like doing that. That's just instructional, or just kind of like making something that I already know what to make is far easier than trying to figure all that out. So we'll go ahead and follow the curve of her mask. We'll see how that works. We'll just go ahead and pull this out here. We'll smooth it down, re-Dynamesh, and this will kind of sit on top of her armor here, or her underlying tech suit. And we'll go ahead and pull this up off her eyebrows a little bit here. And if we look under here, whoa, there is going to be a tech suit here. So if I do want to follow this a little bit closer, so at least it has like some padding in between her skin. Boy, she's got a really receding hairline here. I mean, not really. That just gives her the illusion of having a fairly receded hairline with the way I made that tech suit mask. I probably should maybe rethink that. It's not too bad. So now that gets a little bit wide through here. So let's go ahead and pull this in. And not sure I love that, but let's go ahead and put in her visor here. So we'll go in here and grab a sphere. And we'll rotate this around. And we'll go ahead and do a split unmask points or split mask points, whichever one you want to do. And this one here, let's go ahead and hit D to do our dynamic preview. So again, we're still moving around just a low-res cage. We're just getting a little preview of what that's going to look like, and we can go ahead and just toss this in here. Now, I'm not saying that we're definitely going to do just a sphere. Let's go ahead and turn on transparency so we can see. But at the very least, we can start here and then start making modifications as to how we want this to look. I don't know, something like this. We want to do more smooth. We could do subdivision level of 3 as a preview. And now let's go ahead and fit. I like the roundness of that. I don't like the angularity of these pieces necessarily. She's starting to look like I'm praying mantis, which I don't know, isn't a terrible thing, I suppose, but not my favorite thing in the world. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is again just following her underlying tech suit here. Let's see. Which I like the idea of, because again, you don't want metal sitting on top of padding, but then again, I also want to make sure that I like the overall aesthetics. I'm not thrilled about it. Now that doesn't mean, you know, we can go ahead and just, this is inherited the Dynamesh properties of the mesh we inserted it on. Now when we Dynamesh this, you see how I got all faceted again? Go ahead and apply your dynamic subdivisions first, and then go ahead and Dynamesh this. And now we can go through here, and we can try, you know, it doesn't have to be round glass, it could be something like this. And that could give us some interesting shapes here. I want to make sure it goes over her nose, like so. And even on the sides here, let's go ahead and smooth this down and inflate this up. It's getting a little bit thin. We can inflate this back up. Go back in here with our trim dynamic, and we'll go ahead and knock this back a little bit more. I just wanted to give a little bit more of a lip on there. And I can also, I mean, I don't need to have it at this resolution. I would say in general, just keep your Dynamesh as low as you can get away with here. If I want to pull these out to angles, I can go in here to my Move Acu, and we can just pull these things back. And that's just the Move brush. We go over this every stream, I think, but the Move brush with curve, Acu curve turned on, will pull out to corners a little bit better than, say, the Move brush if you did want to maybe square these off just a tad and not have them so loopy. We could do that. And you can also use H polish as well. We can go into solo mode here. You can hold down Alt and you can H polish the corners here. And then we can go ahead and pull these back. You also go in here to Damien Standard. And again, these are super just sculpty things we're doing. We're not doing like Z model or anything like that, which again, like we did when we cleaned up this surface, you could absolutely use, you could box model all this if you wanted to. I would be really boring to watch if I was doing that. Not that I'm saying this is super exciting, but I would certainly be moving slower. And also we can try, if we want to, we can just throw some pieces in here. And we can start maybe breaking up these shapes. And even if you wanted to merge them down, you can, but you can at least pop in little proxy shapes here. We can see like that corner was kind of bothering me here, so maybe we can fit that in here, and then these pieces can interact with each other a little bit. It kind of softens that angle up here, but also keeps this kind of squared off, which I kind of like. You can also, clay buildup's another good one. You probably need to drop that Z intensity down on the default, or what you could do, what I should do, is get the clay, I'm using clay tubes, you can use clay buildup as well. Drop the Z intensity down and then resave that out. So if I liked my clay tubes with a Z intensity of 20, I'm going to go to Brush, Save As, then we'll go to ZBrush 4R8. Well, no, I think you want to go to your ZBrush data. Users, public documents, ZBrush data, Z startup. No, it would be in ZBrush 4R8, but it's going to be in a weird spot. So if ZBrush 4R8, if you go into ZBrush 4R8, Z startup brush presets, these are just custom save brushes. If you go to ZBrush 4R8, Z startup, oh boy, do I not remember where this is? Somewhere in here is the original ZBrush files. The ZBrush brushes, I should say. Let's go back to my data folder. Kart files, Z plugin, Z startup, config files, not language, not hotkeys. Okay, maybe it isn't ZBrush 4R8. Not brush presets. Maybe it's not under Z startup either. I would expect it to be in there, but maybe it's not. ZBrushes is going to take you to your folder of brushes that you can save, just tons of those things. Oh, ZData. ZData, and then brush presets. So ZData brush presets, these are all the ones that load up with ZBrush by default. So I've got clay tubes here. If I just want to save over that original clay tubes, I can do that. And now whenever I launch ZBrush, it'll bring up the clay tubes. Sorry about that. Again, I'm getting kind of behind here, so I apologize in advance if I miss something here. Oh boy. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Just started using ZBrush. Any tutorial recommendations? Yeah, go to my YouTube channel and Intro to ZBrush Part 1 and the Intro to ZBrush Part 8. What's new? Should be enough to get you started, I think. Cool. Thinks is really important to school. Finished applying for 3D modeling. Where you went to school? Honestly, this is just my opinion, but I don't really care where you went to school. I do care more about your portfolio and how you interview and what your experience is. Not necessarily like I understand you're a student, so you're not going to have a lot of working experience, but in order to prove to me that you know what you're doing, or at least you have an inkling or an aptitude for knowing what you're doing, which is sometimes important too, it would be in the portfolio in your interview. Wasn't Blizzard basically saying they managed to make huge models in a matter of hours for Here's a Storm before? Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could go back to like box modeling complex stuff anymore. I'm just going to block it out in ZBrush and then decide if I want to build it, rebuild it, or use Fusion 360 or Modo or Max or whatever to finish it out. But I start in ZBrush. It's just faster. For me, personally. I mean, your mileage may vary. Example of how to zero mesh a human head with good topology with enough resolution to work around the eyes. Yeah, we've gone over that a couple times. I think the most recent one is in the, you know what, and I need to start doing this again, the live stream highlights. But if you go to live stream full episodes and you dig through this stuff, if you want to manually redo it, this one will work fine. If you want to, I think maybe it's this one. No. Boy, let me track this down. Oh, this is going to be a nightmare, isn't it? There we go. So this is another good one. If you go to ZBrush for illustrators.com, basically, and I haven't watched this yet, I need to sit down and watch it, but the Steve James thing, I just looked at this image and was like, oh, that's really interesting. So I did something like this. He probably has it better. So I'll go ahead and link you guys to this. He probably has a more thorough breakdown of this, but yeah, if you go here to the PavWork workshop number 30 and start after the surfboard here, this is where we did it. Oh boy. Oh, you know, it's actually back here. So here's where we go and start breaking down the face into the different groups that we want to retopologize. So I'll go ahead and link you to this right here. Share. Start at 1044 into PavWork 30, and that'll take you through topology. And if you want to, you know, this will give you basic topology around the different areas of the face. And then if you want to, you can manually go in and clean these things up, or use ZModeler to add more edge loops and stuff so that you get decent topology all the way around the face like this. And then you could just go in and do that. That's probably the fastest, easiest way, as opposed to, or you just manually draw it on there if you want to. Is the reason why you don't want to have backface masking on for every brush. Usually it's a good thing to have on even for control and shift and stuff. The only one I would say was different is move. If you have move brush with backface masking on, so it'll do some weird shearing stuff because it is using the camera space to backface mask, and if probably you don't want that. But other than the move brush, sure. Or move like brushes like Snake Hook, you'd probably want it off. Cool. Thanks for showing up, everybody. Yeah, we've gone over, in fact, you go back to my YouTube channel. There's a Fusion 360 Quickstart guide, and I do go back and forth between ZBrush and Fusion in that. It's kind of towards the bottom here, Fusion 360 Quickstart. So if you watch this one, I'll take you through the basics of Fusion 360, as well as working with imported objects. This one goes if I want to go from Fusion 360 to ZBrush, as well as going from ZBrush and kind of concepting something out and then taking that into Fusion and either remodeling it from scratch, or if you bring in a perfectly quadded mesh, turning it into a solid body. So there's that. Check it out. It's pretty fun. It's a very fun program for a CAD program. I'll give it that. This model looks awesome. When you're detailing, do you have any randomly added latches, alphas, etc.? It looks already referencing a lot. As I'm working right now, I'm not referencing anything at all. I do have references images up. Like, hey, here's one. Maybe you recognize this guy. Use my own stuff for reference. This is, and really, when it comes to reference, sometimes it's not about like, oh, I want to make this strap or I want to make this thing. It's just more of just like, hey, here's some stuff that maybe worked at one point, and if I glance over and I see it, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to make that, but that does remind me of something I do want to make. I could use that. Or that, it could be just something completely arbitrary too, and just hard surface, whatever. Or if you are doing like, you can get a fire hose and look at the complicated rivets and stuff and connectors they have on plumbing equipment and fire hose and stuff like that. Or even like a gas, when you go to get gas in your car, like looking at all those little knobs and rotating universal hinge, little ball joints and stuff like that. Even that's good reference to just kind of have up. And it'll maybe just, it's all about those happy accidents too. So like you said, it is a lot about like, we could go into our alpha brushes here. And I like having, I love the new ZBrush, just being able to grab alphas like this or up here and cycle through alphas like this instead of having to load them in. Holy crap, it's so much nicer. But if we are just doing this type of thing, whoa, let's drop that Z intensity down. And even for these brushes, I like to have back face masking on. There we go. So, we could go in here and I could just kind of start doing this type of thing. If that's too boxy, we could try maybe this or maybe this one here. And if it's not Z intensity enough, we can pop it in, or I can hold down Alt and pop it out. And just kind of just trying different things. That's certainly an excellent way to work. Or BI brush insert. Go to the model toolkit here. And if we're just doing shape exploration, I'm not worried about too much detail stuff, but just kind of going through some of these pieces here. And again, it could just be a latch, so we can go split mask points. Let's hit D to kind of modify that. So it doesn't have to be a latch. I can just go ahead and just Dynamesh this together. Oops, let's hit apply and Dynamesh. So again, I'm just looking for the shape here that I can maybe pop in here and see if I like that. So again, and that's why I don't, I'm not good at concepting live, because again, a lot of it is just me doing this for several minutes, just trying to, see if anything catches my fancy. And boy, I don't mind doing that sped up and talking about it, but I am loath to do it with you guys standing here judging me silently. Cool. Yeah, that Quixel helmet was really fun to do. I need to do it more. I need to sit down and just do this kind of stuff more. But if I were to sit here and concept something out, I would have to do that kind of live stream where it would be like, okay, I'm gonna have a little message up here, and I'm gonna look at the comments once an hour for 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna get back to concepting, and I'm just gonna completely shut everything else off. We'll have some nice Enya playing in the background, royalty free, and just sit there, and it's going to be boring. I apologize in advance if I do that. It is not going to be fun. It's not a fun process to watch, at least not for me. I mean, it is a fun process to watch other people do, sped up, but it's not a fun process for me to experience doing, if that makes sense. These devil horn things, let's go ahead and merge these together here. Merge these down, hit X, go across X symmetry here. We can kind of play around with these things a little bit here. And these aren't really devil horns, they're more of just like mechanical latches if you want. I mean, these can get hooked on things, which probably isn't a great design. The idea being, you know, she could just reach up and grab these and pull these down, or I guess I could rotate them around maybe. And these could latch down over her face here. And then when she pulls those up, this kind of gives her a sad kind of look, which I'm not a huge fan of here. Well, like I said, yeah, a lot of this is just ugh. And for some reason, I feel the need to keep these things around, although maybe I probably shouldn't. I don't know. Keep thinking about it. Something else. Let's see. We could also maybe play around with, if we go in here to a cylinder, grab cylinder 12, that's going to give her kind of a bug-eye look. If we wanted to always go straight out of the camera, one easy way to do that is go up here to your picker menu. There it is. And under orientation, you can just tap this one here. It's actually a little arrow, but if we change that to just be straight out at us, that'll go ahead and just drag straight out. And that'll be for any insert brush here. No, that'll be for that one. And then we'll go ahead and split mask points. And now we can, you know, see if we want to put some big nostrils on here, put the big eyebrows here. See if any of this is working for us. And it doesn't have to be on her helmet. It can also be off to the side here. And let's go ahead and do a crease dynamic here. Not doing anything for me. I don't know. We can go ahead and round this back out too, since it's just a dynamic here. We can go ahead and go. If you do have clip turned on, you can just tap Control, and that'll temporarily allow you access to the Control Shift visibility, and then we'll go to Close Convex Hole, and then we can just go ahead and close this off, and we can round this out if we want to. And then hit Control W, hit D to Dynamesh this. And I don't know that I love that. And we can keep them around. We can just hide it temporarily. And oh yeah, we were doing chin straps. Let's go ahead. You know what? I'm going to. We can go ahead and just Dynamesh this one too. We can go ahead and start splitting this up a little bit as well. Not sure that I'm in love with this piece here. It's kind of interesting. And then this piece back here, little vents and thrusters and all these little pieces are fine, I suppose. Although when she leans her head back, it's going to go dunk right on this thing. So maybe watch that space here to give her enough mobility to move around. All this stuff in here can be padding, which I think it is. We alt tap this one here. Yeah, it's just padding here, so we can go ahead and, you know what? I think this is actually an old version. Let's do a quick mirror and weld, hit X to go across X symmetry. So I did think we actually went through here, kind of, you know, speaking of, kind of like this one, where if you look around here, they've got that, he's got that kind of padding underneath his collar. There's a little horse collar there. So we can go ahead and let's just Dynamesh this thing. There you go. So we can kind of indicate that. And when we do this for real, it'll be a lot more robust and thorough, but for now we can just use our Damien standard and our clay brush just to kind of give indications of that's the material type we want. So we've figured that out a little bit. And then I go over here, and then looking at this here, and all that good stuff. Anyway, back to comments. Looks like a suit from Anthem, or you're secretly bringing PR to EA. That's a good point, Anthem. And if I were to work on a game, that would probably be a game that would be really fun to work on, just because doing this type of armor is something I do as a hobby. These are fun little things to work on. Those little hard surface mech suits. If you look through my YouTube channel, you probably see a lot of this stuff. Let's go ahead and crank that resolution up a little bit more. And again, the resolution on these things is low as I can get it. And we can go ahead and just H-polish this stuff up. And sometimes an interesting one to work with is trim smooth border. I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to harden these things necessarily, but I am going to kind of make them a little bit more planar and angular to see if that sparks anything. Okay, and also, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pop in all this kind of nebulous areas here. I'm not a big fan of that. Let's go ahead and kill all this and let's see how that looks. And then if we want to, let's go ahead and put in a cylinder here, right down the back. And then we'll go ahead and split mask points, and then we'll rotate this up and around. And then we can scale this out and down. And we can kind of just shove that right in there. And then again, we'll do another crease dynamic. So we can kind of cap that a little bit here. That'll kind of keep that contained. Then we can follow that shape a little bit here. And, you know, maybe this can overlap that a little bit, give that a little bit of interest through here, and you can mask this. If we want to get this thing out of the way, we can just tap that here. I'm not sure what that is, but I guess we'll keep it for now. And then we can go ahead and mask. Let's go back to mask pin. You can take this thing and pull that out and around. And she is very off balance. When we had her leg armor, it was basically heavy, and then I threw some extra armor on her butt and the back of her calves to kind of balance her out a little bit. But she is looking severely off balance, so maybe we'll revisit that. And we can also try some more angular stuff here. Okay. You ever see legacy techniques anymore in games? Is that subject of missed legacy stuff? Everything else is so high now, it seems. Oh man, with VR, everything went back like 5 steps. So it's back to like PS2 level stuff. So if you're doing VR work, there's all sorts of tricks coming back from legacy game making, old school forward-facing sprite type stuff. Let's see. You can use ZRemesher to retopologize stuff, but if you want total control, then I would just use Z-spheres and retopologize that way by hand. Hey Sebastian, thanks for showing up. And again, sorry, I'm totally really behind on these comments here. Trying to add some straps and belts. Do you have any special techniques for controlling curve? Yeah, if I'm just doing straps, what my preferred technique is just the topology brush. Whoops. Just to do stuff like this, like I'm going to make a strap. And looks like I need to make that a little bit bigger here. So if I wanted to make straps from here to here, I could go like, okay, let's make some straps across here. And then I would just use the topology brush and then tap off and then split mask points. And now I'm off to the races with my straps like this. However, also using Z-spheres for doing straps. If you did want to use like the brush curve snap strap, then use this, you're right, it's going to stick to everything. So in this case, what I would do is if I wanted to do anything complex, is I would just do a really quick one here, and we'll go ahead and tap off and do a split mask points. And then I'm just going to inflate this thing, and we're going to turn it into a Dynamesh. And then I'm going to go through here, and I'm just going to H-polish this thing out. And I'm basically, what I'm making is, do I have some weird setting on this thing? Oh, backface masking, I suppose. Basically, I'd be going through here with my clay brush and my trim dynamic, and I would make a ramp for that thing to sit on, basically. So if I want to do anything complex, and again, this shape doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but if I wanted to do like a ammo belt that needed to follow a very specific path, I would just create that path first. And you could create it with a sphere if you wanted to and just carve out of that. I did it with a strap first. But then once I have this shape, now I have a shape for that follows, and then I go here to brush curve, strap. Now I can just follow this shape exactly how I want. And I don't have to sit there and kind of twiddle and fiddle with all these settings here. And then I can, if this snap distance is too much, go to your stroke, curve modifiers, turn that curve snap distance down. And now we can do split mass points. You can delete your ramp, you don't need that anymore. And now you've got that strap that's a little bit more easier to manage and follows the exact curve you want to. It's possible to sculpt landscapes in ZBrush. Yeah, I've never done it, but I suppose you could sculpt anything in ZBrush. I've seen people sculpt like cliffs, sides, and mountains and stuff. You sculpt an entire level with ZBrush? Sure. Anything you can sculpt in ZBrush. It would probably be, you'd probably need scale reference in there. ZBrush is really more of a, for me, more of a prop modeler, character modeler. You're staying on the outside of stuff. If you want to do interiors, oh boy. Let's see if I can go way back. Man, do I even have any of that stuff? Let me pull this down if there's anything in there I don't want you guys to see. Let me look real quick. If I go way back to my... here we go. Source, assets, environments. Oh, I do have one. iRoom. Let's see what this has in it. Here's an environment that I worked on. So all of this stuff, you know, it's an enclosed room. So here's the ceiling to the room here. But if you wanted to work on an interior space, you are going to have to, whoops, get rid of a bunch of this type of stuff. So you basically walk up this hallway here into this area here, and then you've got these kind of sculptures on the background. You've got, whoa, looks like it's a little bit much for... The good thing, oh, I guess I can close Photoshop as well. The good thing is whenever ZBrush crashes, you're not going to lose anything unless it does a hard crash, which it's been a while since it's done that for me. So all we need to do is go back to the recovered tool, and we can open everything back up. Give me a second here. Yeah, I know. All right. Yeah, we can keep looking at that there. There we go. Recovered Z tool here. Now that's the recovered Z tool. We probably need to if we want to recover the stuff we're working on. We want to do the recovered Z project, but I'm just going to do the Z tool real quickly here, so we can kind of look at this. So yeah, you walk into there, and you've got a chamber in here. You've got these weird columns, and then you've got this bowl right here that it has flames in it, and then this door right here opens. This eyeball actually opens here. This little eyeball thing opens up, and then you've got this door that also opens here. So you got this door that kind of slides. It opens up like that, and then this eyeball rotates. Let me see if this will actually rotate here. Yeah, that's not separate. You got this eyeball that rotates and stuff. So it's kind of a pain. I wouldn't say it's my favorite program to work in for interior spaces, but it's certainly doable, and it's fun if you can kind of get used to hiding and showing and subtool organization. But yeah, definitely doable. Oh, you know what I forgot to mention? This might be useful to you. Let me go ahead and load up. You know, let's go back to this quick save here before we pull that in. Yeah, if you want to, let me turn this off. For the strap thing, one interesting solution you might want to use is if we go in here, and even if you wanted to do multiple straps, for instance, we can go to initialize here, Q cube, and we'll go ahead and stretch this thing out. So let's say you've got a lot of straps and you want to just hang them off your character like this. Let's go ahead and go insert multiple edge loops, and we'll just give this some resolution here. And again, let's say you had multiples of these and they're all different directions. So you're going to loosely kind of place these into your scene. And then what you can do is you can hit W, Alt tap to find that surface normal, and then go into your transform type, and you can do a bend curve. And you're going to, oh wait, these need to be separate meshes. Duh. Let's go auto groups, and then I guess we could just do split the parts. You don't have to do auto groups. So now that these are all split, you can hit W, Alt tap them, and then Alt tap them again to find their surface normal or the direction they're going in, and then you could do again a bend curve, and then we need to go in here to change our axis to the Z-axis, I think, or whatever's down the bone. And then we're going to change our resolution. So through here, you can just go through here and use this as a way to bend your straps. And if you ever need more resolution, just crank that up and you can do more resolution. And again, like you could do multiple. So if you go over here, you can just find again that surface, bend curve. It'll maintain your previous settings. We'll drop that curve resolution down. And now you can go through here and you can start bending this one, for instance. And then we go to this one. Start bending this one. And if you want to go back to this one, Alt tap it, and too much resolution. Oh, you can also do twisting on each individual one, as well as scaling each individual one, squeezing it. But also, we'll drop that resolution down. So you can go through here, and now you've got access to kind of moving these curves around. So you'll always have access to those curves as long as you don't go in here and say accept. And then now you're just stuck with a bend curve. And then if you go back to another bend curve, it's only going to take into account the entire thing. So which will kind of work, but won't be as nice as if you have them plotted right along your object here. So another option for you if you just need to do a little bit of moving stuff around. What's the polycount requirement for main character nowadays? No, it varies a lot depending on title, but in general, yeah, it does vary a lot. Fighting game, 1 million. Mobile RPG, 50. But I would say in general, I would say, I don't know, 20,000 to 50. I really don't know. It's been a while since I've worked on characters, actually. A long while. Did you make most of your alphas? I didn't make any of these. I got these off Gumroad. I converted them, but I bought these off Gumroad, these hard surface brushes. I want to say ADN something or other, Gumroad. They come as alphas, but I converted them all to these so I could grab them all like that. But, I mean, do make your own alphas from your own stuff, too, because there's a lot of, especially if you want anything specific, but also just creating alphas for form exploration, I probably should do. Cool. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, and you can use satellite data too. Yes. Where do you go over? How do you do that lasso cutting technique you did with the back of a helmet? Oh, like clip brush? Let me see. Let's see. Delete all. Like this thing here. Okay, Control Shift and clip curve. That's oh, Control Shift clip curve. Is that doing something weird? There we go. Or really, when I just took that big chunk out, that was just a visibility thing. So I was like, select lasso and like, okay, I want to get rid of all that, and then you can delete hidden, close holes, mirrored weld, and then it'll go ahead and just delete that stuff. But yeah, also if you wanted to, you could use trim. So what trim will do is do basically a slice and then fill hole. So it'll go ahead and trim that off. Also another good one to use. What's the name of that reference image software you use? Thanks in advance. That would be, I I love this. It is Quadro, Quadro. Let me go ahead and Quadro. I'll link you guys to that. Let me refresh this, and it's free. You just download it and run it, and there's the videos on it that I made. You can watch those, and that'll kind of take you through the basic functionality. But yeah, you can save presets. Saves me a lot of time. Zero Mesher with the option to use polypaint is the best choice to add geometry in a specific area. If you wanted to have it control where you want more density, yeah, that's probably the most straightforward, easy way, and not have to deal with like, well, I mean, you can always go back in. You can do a ZRemesh, and then you can go back into your ZRemesh and use ZModeler to add edge loops, or use ZSpheres to bring that geometry into your mesh, and then go in and manually add geometry as needed. And we did that just recently in my live stream full episodes here. We would do it all the time, but just because I remember doing it recently. Oh boy, can my brain please work this morning? Where's my anteater, bro? And then through here, we ZRemeshed this anteater, and then I manually went in and retopologized the eyes. But of course, you could go through. I'll just link you to this. Share, start at, copy. There you go. You can check that out. That's another technique you can do. Using ZBrush for 28mm 3D printing, if you know that stuff. Let me look it up. Is that the really tiny stuff? Yeah, those little, you know what? I might have to, I always think, oh, I really need, yeah, it's the 28mm stuff. These are so cool. I used to have a game called Battle Masters that was like these little 5-sided, I think, things you moved around on this big piece of plastic terrain, and they had all these cool little figures. You could stick them on there. I went through and painted a bunch of those, and then put on like little model grass and rocks. They had big ogres and stuff like that. I don't think I have it anymore. But yeah, I used to have like a little thing kind of like this. Now, as far as techniques, that would probably, I mean, 3D printing is a whole other, not a whole other thing, but it's a very specific thing, and it would be more paying attention to where you put your detail and how big that detail is on your character. You don't want to make it too small, because when you're printing out, you know, the size of your eyeball, it's going to have a hard time maintaining that. And you're also going to need a really good 3D printer, I'd imagine. You don't want one, you're going to need a ton of resolution. So, and also, you know, 3D printing these probably wouldn't be so bad, but if you wanted to make molds of them, you know, you'd have to split these things up into the things that made sense, and key registration, and again, maintaining your detail. Because if you needed to do a bunch of 2-piece molds, these would be a nightmare with the undercuts on here. Yes, sirree, indeed. So I would need to get a 3D printer, and then maybe I could take you through that. But right now, I'd just be speculating, if that makes sense. Oh, this thing right here, this is the custom menu, and again, just go to my YouTube channel, Intro to ZBrush Part 2. Let's see, copy link address, there you go. That'll do the custom menu for you. And again, if you go to my Gumroad page, go all the way to the very bottom, Intro to ZBrush Files, and you can have this custom menu. It's probably similar to this one. I think I've made some minor changes to it. Posing multiple subtools, yeah, that would be under Z plugin. And I think we go over to Intro to ZBrush Part 3, Transpose Master. And you could even use these spheres to move all these things around if you wanted to. Do you prefer 3D Max or Maya for modeling purposes? I haven't used 3D Max in forever. I don't prefer either one. Like, at the end of the day, if you can extrude a face on a program, I'm pretty golden. I use Maya more just because that's been my pipeline tool for 12 years. But it's not because I love it or I hate 3D Studio Max or anything. It's just they're both the exact same to me. No difference. Unless maybe you're animating. Maya has a lot of good animation tools. Cool. All right. Oh, we got about 30 minutes left. Okay, we didn't get very far, but you know what? That is such is the life of trying to do this stuff live. Let's see. Is this a little bit much? I feel this is a little bit much. Let's go ahead and shave this down a little bit. Let's make sure we have our resolution up and a little bit, and then preferences. I don't like when I'm sculpting having my cursor flop around, so I go ahead and do edit. Do not align cursor to surface. And you know, we can also throw into our H-polish brush a square alpha to kind of keep that a little bit crispier as well. This seems a little bit bulky too. Let's go ahead and clip this back. I'm having some weird issues with my Alt and Control keys, which is not good for my hotkeys. Another cool one you can use, you can hit W, and we can go ahead and center this thing here, and let's go into taper. Taper is a fun one if you want to just kind of play around a little bit with making major modifications. And then once you like this one, you can also go back into like bend arc, and you can try, oops, bending this stuff around. So always remember you have access to your deformers to kind of get some cool stuff going. Or you can just use Move Brush. And go into our Damien standard brush here. Let's go ahead and let's go into our standard brush. We'll crank that Z intensity up, and we still have our L sim turned off here. So if we want to, we can start pulling these things out in a certain direction, and then we go back in with our clay brush, and then go back to our H polish brush here. We can start forming these things a little bit more. And again, we put in that square alpha in our H polish here. And you also have your undo history. You can go all the way back if you want to. All the way back forwards. If you want to pick along this line here, you can start from here. And we can go ahead and mask this out. And we'll go back to my gizmo here. Keeps giving me that little loop there. Okay, so also thinking about if she did need to get out of this armor quickly, or this armor was just a way for her to latch into her overall mech shape, her overall little mech walker that she's going to be sitting in, kind of discovering interesting ways to kind of message that to your audience here. So we can go here, we can put a big latch off to the side, and also looking at, I guess we can delete this one. Boy, that split the similar parts didn't do much for me, unless I accidentally did split the parts and not split the similar parts, in which case that's on me. And you can kind of do interesting things with these things kind of poking out, and these things can also, they can rotate back here, but then if she needs to get out, you can have a big handle on here she can reach over, or a big button on this thing maybe, where she can slam a button over here and it'll go, and then this thing will go like this, and then this will pop up, and then her whole backpack will pop off. We bring it back, everything here. You know, these things will be latched together, and then unlatch, and then this thing can go like this maybe, but now this is going to back your head. So if you did want to do that, I would say go and then cut this piece out. So it's like, okay, now we're having to make design decisions based on functionality, which is always cool. So now if we rotate this thing back, we can go, okay, that's what that shape needs to be. And that actually makes more sense, gives her a little bit more headroom in there. So let's go ahead and delete that. And now we can find interesting ways to make this work, maybe. And there can also be, if she needs to look down, you know, she's gonna catch her chin right in here. So we'll give her a little bit more mobility through here as well. That was weird. Let's try that again. You know what, let's go ahead and cull all this here. Just trying to make her a little more streamlined. I have her kind of super bulky. Even this is a little bit much, I think. You can also just go through here and just kind of take your gizmo here and you can kind of scale that non-uniformly. Let's go ahead and delete that. It's getting in my way. It's bugging me. And now all this padding underneath here, we can rearrange this as needed, but that should be fine. We can also pull a little bit of it up in front here, and we can even connect these things across if we want to. So let's go into transparency with Ghost, and we'll go ahead and pull these things down this way, and then we can mask on this side, and then we can go merge those things together, and now they go across the front. If you wanted to follow those patterns here, looks like we lost our smooth stronger here. Damien standard. There we go. Now that padding goes all the way around the front. If we like that, that's fine. If not, it only took us 5 minutes to do. So that's why also another reason I like ZBrush is I can explore things super quickly and try things and not get too stuck in, well, if I sit there and I hard edge model all that padding, I'm going to use it because it took me 40 minutes to finish. I can kill my ideas quicker, which is a very good thing, I think. Maybe the best thing is the ability to just, if something's not working, just delete it. You don't think about it, you don't hem and haw, you don't try and justify in your head why keeping something subpar needs to happen. You just kill it. You know what? I might, they still sell Battle Master? Hold on. Masters. Battle Masters board game pack? Yes. What? Oh, snap. Look at that board. These, oh, you know what? I guess they were square. I thought they were hexagon, but now that I think about it, I think the pieces in the tile board were just hexagons. So yeah, you get to pick a side, and then you get to set up these little castles. Oh man, this takes me back. Let me see. Yeah, these are the coolest. You put these little hedges and stuff. These look a little bit newer than the ones I had. There's the ogre. I painted him, and I put little grass on here, and I put little stones, and little hobby grass. Maybe I'll do that again. You know what? I should probably, you know what we can do? Let's do some fan art, some Battle Masters fan art. We'll make them small. And maybe when I get my 3D printer, we can print them out. We can have our own Battle Masters redux. Yeah, so I painted them like this. Not as well as this, but that kind of look here. So cool. I love it. Good times. Can ZBrush create Fbx Export work in game engine? Which engine? ZBrush creased Fbx Export work in game engine. Which engine? Creasing. I've never tried it. Most of my stuff doesn't go from ZBrush to engine. It goes from ZBrush to a baked file, which I usually bake out. And then the low res goes into engine. In fact, I don't crease in engine. Usually I do all soft normals on my low res meshes except for the open UV edges, which are hardened. And then when I bake my maps, then I take that into engine. I don't use creasing in engine, now that you mention it. So I'm not sure. You can try it. Unreal's free. Cool, Thunder Bunny. Have fun at work. Oh, I need to start thinking about going to work too. Cool. Thanks, Oreo, for checking my videos. Hopefully they helped. Have you tried Dam Standard 2.0? I haven't. Let me... Let's see. Download the Dam Standard 2 brush for ZBrush made by Damien Canderly. Basically, upgrade from the previous Dam Standards gives a finer result and really cuts into the model. Let's grab it. Let me see if I'm logged in here so I can, you know what? I'll throw him some bucks. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and download this. Okay, so we got that, and that just is going to be a ZBP file. So you guys can grab that off of his Gumroad. And let me link you to that Gumroad, by the way. Here you go. And let me see here. Okay, so we got that here. If I want to use this damn standard a bunch, we can go in here to, again, our ZBrush 4R8 ZBrushes. If I want to use it as a Z startup, which, you know what, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do Z startup brush presets, and I do have, I can have this thing come in all the time. So I can have Damien Standard and Damien Standard 02. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and copy this in here, and then we'll do a quick save, and then we'll kill ZBrush, and then we'll launch ZBrush. Ugh. What do I want to do this morning? Do I want to jog, or do I want to lift weights? I'll tell you what I want to do is eat pizza. But what should I do here? Let's go to, okay, so now we started up ZBrush, we hit B. Oh wait, we need something to play with here. Go into edit mode, hit B. And now we should have a Damien Standard 02. So what I can do, if I want to use that one as my new Damien Standard, I can hold down Control Alt and then do Alt D, which is assigned to my old Damien Standard. So now we got the new Damien Standard assigned, and it's going to start up every time I use ZBrush. So I still have access to the old one and the new one. But now at this one here, we can try making it a, let's delete this one. Hold on. Always forget. Z-sphere, make polymesh 30. Divide. So we got our standard brush. And now we've got our new Damien Standard here. Very nice. And just like any other brush here, you can go in here and you can turn the lazy radius on or off. And you can also change some brush settings here. So let's go ahead and go to our quick save here that we did. And we can go ahead and just pop that back open. So check that out. Uh-oh. Let me see. Let me see. I am literally just, oh, there's the alphas. So let me give you both of those. So here, and then here is where I grab those alphas. Check them out. And I hope those links work. If not, I don't know what to do. That's true. How would you make a mug? I tried making a cylinder and using another cylinder, use it to cut it out, but it wouldn't work. So luckily for you, I got just what you need. 2 places. So this Keyshot to ZBrush Bridge Quickstart. If you go through here, I actually go through the modeling of this mug right here. So here's the mug model. So I can link you to this directly. And that'll take you through making that mug, as well as on my Pixelogic workshop here. If you go to this episode, we model a mug full of beer with bubbles in it and render it in Keyshot. So if you go back to here, this is the making of this mug. So we'll go ahead and share this here. There you go. Mug modeling. Got you covered. That's weird. Sorry about that link, guys. Okay, so let's see. This thing here is bugging me still, so get rid of it. Okay. Okay, so if she has plenty of access to move her arms around, preferences, edit, turn off align cursor surface. Move this thing up here. I just want to give her plenty of mobility around, you know, joints that she's going to be moving around a lot. And this kind of stuff in here, I don't need to worry about. Like if I did want this to fit perfectly to her chest, what I could do is I could duplicate this off and then shoot it to the top, and then take this one, shoot it to the top. And then if we want to just look at these, I could temporarily just make that a live Boolean and just cut it out. So if I did end up dynameshing it, it would look something like this with her body cut out of it. And it's actually cutting through here, which we can see. And you know what? That might actually work. So what I'm going to do, let's just do it. Let's just take that and go. You could turn off live Boolean and just dynamesh them down as a subtractive mesh, but I want to see what this looks like. So what we're going to do, and it might be a little bit hectic and noisy, but that's okay. So we're going to go to Boolean here. We're not doing dynamic subdivisions here. Ooh, it made it a nasty mesh, but that's okay. So what I'm really looking for, and I'm sure there was tons of problems with that, I'm just looking for this top piece here. You know what? Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We've got, let's delete. So this one, I'm going, in order to kind of clean this up a little bit, what I'm going to do is just dynamesh her body. There we go. So now she's just dynameshed, and we don't need all this detail. We just need her basic form. Oh my God, I need to remap this thing. So I'm going to just keep dropping this resolution down again, just to make sure we're getting her form and not having any weird, because we are having some weird inside issues. I can go ahead and cap this stuff if I want to, but let's see if it'll just let me do it. Oh yeah, so this mesh is borked. That's the problem. Okay, so you know what? Let's talk about this. Alt-E-M, because come on, give me a sphere, and we're going to cap, and then geez, I think I need to have X turned on for this stupid thing, and then Control drag, because these aren't affecting my Booleans. You could do a nicer capping job than I am, but since I don't really care, we'll just go ahead and leave it at that. And now let's see. And again, these are not the world's greatest, cleanest subtools, so that could probably be a problem as well. Okay, warnings I can deal with. So there's our new U-mesh with her body cut out of it. And then if I wanted to, I can go ahead and just delete all this stuff. And then we can go back in here and we can go to Insert, this U-mesh, and we don't need this original one, and we don't need this temporary one. And now we have this thing completely cut out. Again, not the cleanest mesh in the world because, again, I'm not working clean right now, but now we can do a quick mirror, mirror and weld, X symmetry turned on, and resolution up, dynamesh. Yay. So again, not something I needed to do at this point, but if you wanted to go ahead and just make this thing be form-fitting to her, is a super form-fitting. It's capturing all the detail here. Let's go back to Smooth Stronger here. There we go. But at least now you have an idea of where these things will end up. So as you're refining and modifying this thing, you'll know. So we'll go through here and we'll go ahead and pull this thing out. And if this is going to be a flat latch, I would want this to kind of mimic this here. So we can go and pull this around like so. Oh, I'm starting to lose my energy. Not that I had any to begin with, really, but and now we're using our new Damien standard here. And again, like if you do like the old Damien standard, this one seems to be better. Let me go and turn off Elsum. Or this one seems to be better more for like really nice fine details. However, when I go back to this Dam standard, this is more, it's just a little bit more ready to go, I guess you could say. You could probably change the settings on the other one to fit that. Like if you went in here to stroke, let's see. Lazy mouse average. You could probably tweak it to behave more like the other one as well, but another thing we can do is we can just go in here if I'm used to this one, I can keep my new Damien standard in here, assign it to another hotkey, but I can also go back to my old Damien standard and just, you know, do all that kind of stuff. So the new Damien standard is certainly tighter, which I like, and we'll probably use that for more detail-y stuff. But this one, if I'm just doing big clunky work, I think it'll work fine. Okay. Will she get a shoulder piece? Yeah, she's going to have a hole. In fact, if we load up, oops. Where's she at? Zbrush female. High res. If we go way, way back. Whoo. Tech suit, mech suit. Yeah, this thing. This is what she's eventually going to end up in-ish. Something like this. So when I'd, you know, she can kind of stand inside this mech suit here. Her feet go down here, and then her body goes in here, and then there's her backpack. And then she's got a bigger shell right here that'll kind of go... Again, you got to make sound of it. And that'll load up, and just should be kind of sitting in there. Again, we could change this design. This design isn't anything special, so we could do whatever we wanted to with this thing. But this is where she's going to end up with her armor. Delete all this. I like to keep these things clean. If I don't need them, get rid of them. But yeah, something like that. Now, if you wanted to, you could just mech her out as needed. This is kind of not really working for me here. Let's go ahead and scoop this down here. Trim dynamic. H polish, and you can use H polish with alt head down, hill down, ilt, and then you can pull this back in, and I can clip through here. Maybe trim dynamic this, and you can also use trim it to kind of sometimes avoid some of this, but sometimes it's just better to go in here and ramp. There you go. Okay. And yeah, when I'm doing this kind of stuff, I just do this for like hours. Really not fun to watch. But again, when we were talking about the functionality here, at least now this can kind of come up and around, which I like if I needed it to. And then this thing here, and you could save these off into layers too if you wanted to. Actually, probably pivot from down here would be cooler. Pop this out. So now if this is going to pivot from down here, and you know she needs something stable on here, so now we can go ahead and put in a rudimentary kind of little wheel here. Let's go ahead and split mass points, and we'll go ahead and scale this out. So now we have an indication of where that's going to latch onto and turn, and then maybe we need to put more support here, wrap it around her body, so that there is a support for this type of bulk here to kind of rotate around. And if this thing wanted to rotate around, we could probably pull it from the back, but you know what? I like it better from here. Unlatch this, and this thing can pull up here. Play around with it. All sorts of cool stuff you can do. And again, going back to the helmet, I'm not terribly in love with this. This might be something I just need to sit down on the weekend and just kind of crank through. And it's just playing with it. Trying stuff. Taking this piece here. Going here with trim dynamic, and maybe I'll have to bring in my brush insert library a little bit. I have some brush insert stuff I can use, but I need to make it a little bit more robust, because doing shape exploration with that is a little bit funner. It's a little bit faster to come up with happy accents. Let's see if I do have anything worthwhile in here. Where are we at? Skeleton, no. Military. Man, I got nothing here. I got nothing at home. I'm going to make a note for that. Insert mesh Library. This is a weak sauce. And this one kind of reminds me of some sort of He-Man She-Ra character for some reason. Kind of G.I. Joe-ish, Cobra Commander-y, or maybe I'm just need to get more sleep. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and split this piece off too. So we're going to take this whole back end here, and we're going to keep this separate. We're going to go ahead and split hidden here. And we can dynamesh this, mirror and weld, and get rid of some of these flashy corner here. And we can also try maybe taking a clip to this thing here and giving this here. How are we doing with this thing? Let's go ahead and split this off too. Another thing you can do, you can hit Control W, make it all one polygroup, go through here, and you can slice. It's like, okay, I want to slice through here, and then with groups turned on, you can just slice through here in groups, and then you can isolate this and be like, oh, you know what, I didn't want to keep this, so we can go ahead and slice this thing, and then keep this here, and now we have a perfectly sliced off portion of this. I use this for the hard surface stuff all the time. Then we can go ahead and turn off groups, split hidden, and now if we go back to this one, you're going to say, oh, but I have two separate pieces now. Just turn off groups and then redynamesh, it'll put it back together. So now this piece will be separate, and we can go ahead and... I like working on things all at the same time at first, and then I like splitting things up just to see if I can kind of work them together. It's kind of got a weird little thing back here, which I kind of like. And then that space needs something in it because I can see her skull. And but it doesn't have to be anything spectacular or weird or huge. It can just be some sort of a cover. Rotate this around. If you want to see where you're at, just do transparency here. We can scale this out. There we go. Split that out. You can hit D for dynamic subdivisions if you want. And now I can kind of live in there. Alrighty. Ooh. My thing with my draw sizes are too big. Like draw size is 15, it is too big for an object with sculpting. But I did draw the object as big as I could on my canvas. If you're ever running into weird stuff and you're not working at a specific scale, go down here to Deformation Unify, or you might have to do like a Merge Visible and then grab that merged subtool Merge Visible and then do a Unify. That'll put it at nice ZBrush scale, so everything within ZBrush will work nicely with it. Do that. Try that. You can also go into your preferences here and you can do all sorts of fancy stuff, like you can turn off dynamic, or you can go into preferences. Oh, do I remember where this is? Draw. Max brush size, you can crank that up. Dynamic brush scale, you can over crank that cranked up version, so you can play with those settings and that'll make your brush size bigger, smaller, sort of. But ideally, I don't like messing with those settings too much. I'll just unify and that'll make it into a nice ZBrush primitive scale so you know exactly where you're sitting within ZBrush. Next video, record yourself in this video showing a past video. So that's usually what I end up doing, is going, hey, here's a bunch of stuff I did a long time ago, let's watch it. But yeah, we're getting some Inception videos going. Anybody written a script or macro to disable all the tool switching dialogues that pop up when you select them for the first time? You know, that has popped up. That might be an Ask ZBrush thing. I'm sure somebody on some forum has done it. Are you sculpting her from concept art? No, we're just kind of having fun. We're just kind of eyeballing her and trying to think of something cool. Way to extrude in ZModeler in 1 centimeter parts in another dimension, or is there another way to do that? Boy, I would That's a good question. To my knowledge, no. You can always, man, you'd have to bring in like a scale reference file of like something that put, I mean, you can sometimes, ooh, that probably wouldn't work either. These transposed lines on here you can mess with and see if that'll give you like a 1 centimeter unit. You could, where's that at? Transpose units here. You can set these units to a unit scale, and if you calibrate that to 1 centimeter, you can use those tick lines here for 1 centimeter, 5 centimeter, or whatever you want. And then you can use that to kind of evaluate distance, but then if you want a Z modeler out to that distance, you're going to have to get rid of that. So I guess you could transpose line out and then use Z modeler and then go like this. Oh crap, but I need to move that back. And I need to use transpose for that. Okay, so we can do, let's anchor our transpose line here. And now when we push this back in, we can match that line there. So that would be 1 unit. And now that you've done that, now that you know that, oh, but yeah. Boy, okay, so have a ruler. You know what? Shane Olson has a ruler. If you go to Shane Olson's website, do I still have it? I think I downloaded it. Oh, I don't have it. Yeah, he has a little units ruler that you can bring in as a subtool, and then you can just have that out with little tick lines on it. For instance, I have something sort of like that, head Z tool. So you could go something like this. What were we doing? Yeah, this one. Append this one here, and now we've got our heads unit here. Let's go ahead and unify this so I know where it is. And we'll go ahead and let's go out of this mode here. So here's heads. Let's pretend these are centimeter tick marks. So we can have this behind. And now when we go through here, we can go, okay, I want this one to come out 1 centimeter, and then you can just come out 1 centimeter. Now it's not going to be exact. But once you do that and you have 1 unit coming out, then all you need to do is tap. But yeah, I don't know of a good way to tell ZModeler, hey, come out, QMesh a single poly 1 centimeter. It's interesting though. Hey, thanks for showing up. Cool, and I got to go to work too, guys, so cool. Stuck with my belt for my character. Any tip for making a belt? That would just be if you go back earlier and look at the curve brush settings you could do, as well as if you have a character like this and you're just looking to kind of wrap something around, and even if it isn't perfect, you could just do this, do a brush curve. Let's go to brush insert. Let's give her a bandolier. Hold down shift and it'll snap to that. And now you can tap off this and they do split mass points, and then that'll give you a belt. So that kind of thing. Cool. Is there a way to give a different polygroup in real time when you paint an alpha or sculpt simultaneously? Different polygroup in real time, so you're painting an alpha or sculpting and you want to give it a different polygroup at the same time? No. I don't want to say no. Off the top of my head, it doesn't seem like that would work. What you could do is you could make a macro for when you stamp something, and then you could replay last or stamp again, where you could do a polygroup, or you could do a paint stamp and then a mask stamp and then a polygroup stamp, and it would be not the world's greatest workflow, but cool. Alrighty, thanks for showing up, guys. I will see you guys. Oh, I'm not going to be on Zbrush's channel at all in December. Oh crap. Okay, I'm going to figure out some way to get my schedule up on Twitch TV and YouTube so you guys can see what days I'm going to have to miss, because I am going to have to miss some days this month. Hopefully not too many, but yeah. Okay, so if you message me on ArtStation, I'll check it out. I should go on. I think I've been on ArtStation recently, but yeah, I'll answer those questions there. And thanks everybody. And I will catch you guys later. I'm gonna have to jog or lift weights. Let's lift weights. Okay. You guys have a good day.